Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Steph. In today's video, we are doing the mid-year wrap-up. I already did the mid-year freakout tag, and that should be up before this video. I'm filming both of them in the same day because I've decided I want to reorganize my bookshelves for like the third time in the past couple of months. So there's a lot of books off the shelf. I've got 24, 25, I think, physical copy books, and then the rest on my phone that I'll just pop a picture up on the screen of what I've read. I currently have read 42 books so far this year. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about all of them. I'll give you my ratings, the order I read them in. This is probably going to be a bit of a longer video, so grab a drink, grab a snack. Let's dive into all of these books. And yeah, cue the intro. Alrighty, so I have my handy dandy reading journal here because without this I wouldn't be able to tell you the order I read the books in. So let's get started with January. In January, the very first book I read this year was November 9 by Colleen Hoover. Not going to go into in depth about them. Colleen Hoover is my favorite author. You'll see a lot of Colleen Hoover in this video. I gave this one 5 stars and like a 2 out of 5 spice rating. It wasn't very spicy, but it definitely was an amazing book. Absolutely loved it. You should read anything Colleen Hoover. But yeah, 5 stars for that one. The next book I read was also by Colleen Hoover, and that is Verity. This is definitely not a book I would normally read. It is a paranormal thriller, but also has romance in it. That's definitely why I picked it up, and also because it's Colleen Hoover. My sister absolutely loved this book, and she recommended it to me. I loved it. It was a 5-star read. Didn't think I'd love it as much as I did. Super good, and I highly recommend it. If you're in the romance genre and you don't read anything else besides romance like me, I think you would absolutely love this because it has a bit of romance in it as well. Really did enjoy that book. The next book I read another Colleen Hoover. I was on a Colleen Hoover kick, okay, and just wanted to read a whole bunch of her books. I had just bought a bunch of them because they were on sale. This one was 5 stars. It Ends With Us. This is probably the most talked about book by Colleen Hoover, and it wasn't my favorite one, but I still rated it 5 stars. I have other books by Colleen Hoover that I love a lot more, but absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. Lillian Atlas's story is so amazing. Next, we're getting into February. And this is the last Colleen Hoover that I've read in a row, and that is Reminders of Him. This was new. It came out in January, and I had it pre-ordered. I didn't read it until February because I was waiting for my sister to read it with me as well. 5-star read for me. Absolutely love it. This one's definitely blowing up on TikTok more nowadays, but it's such a cute story. Very heart-wrenching, and yeah, absolutely loved it. Number 5, we've got Dirty Letters by Penelope Ward. This was a very spicy book. I gave it like a 3.5 rating. Definitely more spicy than a lot of the books I read, but I just liked the whole romance, but also like the mental health aspects of this book as well. I gave this one a 5 stars. You'll see a lot of 5-star ratings in this video, and honestly, if I love a book, I'm giving it 5 stars. Maybe a little bit down the line, I might think and read more books that I find are better or that I love more. But at that time, I rated it 5 stars, so I'm just going to keep my ratings the same. Next book that I read was The Summer I Turned Pretty. I gave this one 4 stars. This is such a cute little YA romance. You will see the rest of the books in this video as well because I did read those. I just read them a little bit down the line, but loved this book. Like I said, rated it 4 stars. The next book I read was Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. Loved this book, the whole mother-daughter dynamic. I gave this one a 5 star as well. Everything that I read by Colleen Hoover so far has been 5 stars, so no surprise. The next book that I read was Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. Really loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. Looking back on it, I think I might have given it like, nowadays I think I would have given it like 4 stars. I really did enjoy that book as well. yeah, can't go in too in depth about it, like I said, because there's lots of books to get through. Then I was on a Penelope Ward kick, so the next few books you're going to see are Penelope Ward. I read Step Brother Dearest, 5 stars. I love that book. Such a kind of like taboo romance. It's like a romance between a girl and her stepbrother. They're no relation at all. So it's not as weird when you're reading it, but I really, really loved that book. Then I read Room Hate by Penelope Ward. Another 5-star read for me, actually. I gave that one 4.5 stars. Really did enjoy that one as well. Then we've got Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. This is one of her more young adult books. This one is definitely more popular nowadays, blowing up on TikTok, on YouTube, all that kind of stuff. This one, again, a 5-star read for me. I loved Bea and Samson's relationship. Then I went back to Penelope Ward again and I read The Crush. I gave that one 4 stars. Didn't love it as much as the other ones, but definitely was still really enjoyable. Then I read Gentleman Number 9 by Penelope Ward. I gave that one 5 stars. Really liked it. It was like a best friend sort of romance. And then I read The Anti-Boyfriend by Penelope Ward, which I gave 4.5 stars. Then I got into April, and in April the very first book I read was The Deal by Elle Kennedy. Gave that one 5 stars, hands down. Loved that book. Still think about that book. Really, really enjoyed it. Then after that I read The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, so it's the second one in the series. Gave that one 4.5 stars. I really did like it. It wasn't as good as The Deal, but I did really love it. Then I read The Score by Elle Kennedy. I gave that one 4 stars. Really did enjoy that book. Like I said, it's not as good as the first one. The first one tops them all for me. After that, I think I kind of just moved away from that series. It's getting a bit repetitive for me because each book is about a hockey player, each hockey player on the same team and their romance. I definitely want to go back and read more of that series and read the spin-off series, Briar U series, I believe it's called. I definitely want to go back and read that. But then I picked up this one. I didn't have the physical copy when I first read it, and I'm so glad I waited to get the new cover. This is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is probably one of everybody's favorite books nowadays. This one was a 5-star read for me. Really did enjoy that book. And then I read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, 5 stars. If you watch my channel, you know how much I love this book. Can't highly rate it enough. It was so good. Loved the fake dating aspect. Fake dating is like my all-time favorite trope, so I loved that. The next book I read was The Spanish Love Deception, and I actually do own the book, but I don't have it with me right now. I gave that one 5 stars as well. It was a little bit of a slow start, I remember that, but once you got into the book, it was so sweet. Fake dating again, so of course loved it. Then after that I read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, and I rated that one 5 stars as well. That one was pretty spicy. I really did enjoy it. Yeah, fake dating. Do I need to say more? After that, I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I don't know why it took me so long to pick this book up. I've had it on my shelf for quite a while. It's a pretty thick book. I really did like this book. I didn't like it as much as I feel like everybody else liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I talked about it in one of my wrap-up videos. I just felt like the romance aspect wasn't all there for me. Like, when they finally did get together and then they ended the vacation, they went home, then something broke them apart. Like, I didn't feel like the romance was long enough in this book. Therefore, I only rated it 4 stars. Then we're getting into May. May was one of my really good months for reading. I read, I think, 15 books in May, starting off with Beach Read. Beach Read I gave 5 stars. Really loved this book by Emily Henry. Yeah, it's a book about books and romance. Need I say more? Then I read Confess by Colleen Hoover. I'm sorry, but I'm getting on another Colleen Hoover kick here. Rated this one 5 stars as well. Loved the art aspect in this book. Loved the twist at the end of this book. Colleen Hoover always has amazing twists at the end of the book, but I really enjoyed this one. And isn't the cover just beautiful? Loved it. Then we're getting into my all-time so far that I've read by Colleen Hoover favorite book, and that is Maybe Someday. I loved this book. I talk about this book quite often, but I really loved it. And so far, this is my favorite Colleen Hoover book. I haven't read everything by Colleen Hoover, but this one is at the top of the list right now. So of course, after I read this one here, I then finished the series for that one. You could stop at that book because it also could be a standalone. But then you get the novella, which is Maybe Not by Colleen Hoover, and this follows the two characters that are roommates. So this is Bridget and Warren's story. Really loved this one. This was like a Friends with Benefits, like quick little 120-page novella. Really enjoyable. And then lastly, I don't have the other book, Maybe Now by Colleen Hoover. Really loved that one. Sorry, I gave the first one 5 stars, second one 5 stars, third one 5 stars. Thought I could mention that. And then after that, I got into the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. So I read Throttled, and I gave that one 4 stars. Most of the people that I've seen talk about the Dirty Air series have rated the first one 5 stars, but I love the second one more. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I've seen a lot of people say they love the first one the most. So yeah, I gave the first one 4 stars. Thought it was super cute. It's books about F1 racing. There's 4 books in the series. I only read the first 2. I definitely do want to go back and read more. But then after that one, I read Collided. Gave that one 5 stars. I loved the art aspect in that book. I loved Sophie as a character. I loved the relationship in that book a little bit more than I liked the first one. But yeah, I loved that book. Then we get into some Penelope Douglas. And I ended up reading Credence by Penelope Douglas, and I've talked about this book a couple of times, but I still don't have words to describe this book. I don't know. I gave it 5 stars for the fact that it was just like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to describe it. It was just like super unpredictable, I guess. I didn't really know too much going into the book. I knew it was super spicy. I knew it was a taboo romance. Didn't know exactly the premise of the book, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Technically, I should have given it 4 stars for the fact that I didn't love the ending. And I'm not going to tell you who I liked in the book because that would give it away, but I didn't like who she ended up with in the end. I thought it was kind of weird. I felt like the relationship that developed between the two of them just wasn't enough for me to feel like she would end up with him in the end. I don't know if anybody else felt that way about that book, but I did give it 5 stars, just for the fact that it was just something I've never read before, and it was unlike anything I've read before. Then I went and read Birthday Girl, which my sister had read before me. I really wanted to read it. It was on my TBR. She recommended it to me and was like, you need to read that one next. So I did. Rated that one 5 stars. Definitely not as taboo, I feel, as Credence, but it is an age gap romance, and I gave it 5 stars. Then we're going back into some more physical copies. I then read Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This was everywhere. Definitely people influenced me to read it. It was super hyped up. Did not disappoint. 5-star read for me. If you've read any of these books and you want to leave your thoughts down below, even if you didn't love the book that I love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. So then I went back and read It's Not Summer Without You, which is the second book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series, and I gave this one 4 stars. And then after that, I read We Will Always Have Summer. The thing I loved about this series is just the summer vibes, but also the fact that they were just like super quick reads. And this was just recently made into a TV show, which I really like. It's not completely based on the books exactly because the storyline's a little bit different, but it was still really good. But regardless, the first 2 books, like I said, I gave 4 stars each, but this one I gave 5 stars. I loved the way that it wrapped up. I don't know if I if I loved who she ended up with. At the same time, I do mixed feelings. After that book, I then read this one here. I was just trying to read some quick books to like get my list of books going, to basically just read more books in May, and also to reach my reading goal for the year. And that is the goal of 75 books. So then I read The Upside of Falling. This one was cute. I gave this one 3 stars. It's not a super memorable story. I feel like the romance aspect was really cute, but also the whole like single parent and the topic of divorce on this book, I feel like was really well touched on. And yeah, I feel like the whole family issues and things like that was more so prominent in this book than the romance. Therefore, maybe I didn't love it as much, but I did give it 3 stars. Like I said, it wasn't super memorable, but it was a quick, light, fun read. And then I read The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. A lot of people gave this 5 stars, but I gave it 4 stars. I liked it, but I felt like it was kind of a bit of a slow burn, and there wasn't enough romance for me, so that's why I'm giving it 4 stars. But I did like the storyline. I did like some of the other stuff that was going on with the side characters and that kind of thing. But yeah, 4-star read for me. The next book that I read was It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, and this was spicy. I gave this 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. And then of course, because I loved that book so much, the next book I picked up was Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. Loved this one more than the first one. I gave them both 5 stars, but just Hannah and Fox's relationship just was more there for me, and I just loved them two a little bit more than I liked Brendan and Hannah. Brendan and Piper. This one's Hannah and Fox. Regardless, I rated them both 5 stars. And then we're getting into June. I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Gave this one 5 stars. I will be talking about this more in my June reading wrap up, but if you have seen from a couple of my other videos so far, one of my favorite books ever that I've read, and my favorite book I've read so far this year. Then after that, I read this book right here called The Summer Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. Gave this one 5 stars as well. I loved the family dynamic of this book just as much as I loved the romance. Really enjoyed it. And then after that is 2 other books that I do not own on paperback. So the next book I read was The Infinity Between Us, and I loved that book almost as much as I loved Every Summer After. It's a second favorite. Definitely Every Summer After tops that book, but really did enjoy that one. Gave it 5 stars. The whole bathroom scene had me laughing out loud. It was just like super relatable, super funny, if you know what I'm talking about. I loved that part of the book. Yeah, so I gave that one 5 stars. And then the last book I read was called Faking with Benefits, I believe. I'm gonna pop a picture on the screen of the cover. This is a reverse harem story. You've got 1 female, 3 males. Definitely do not look at the cover and think this is going to be a cute, fun romance. Look at the cute little characters on the book. Absolutely not. This is crazy spicy, like 5 out of 5 spicy. I'll talk about it more in my June wrap up. But yeah, that is the last book that I read, and I believe that is a total of 42 books. So we're at the halfway point now of the year, and I am slowly reaching my goal. I really hope I can read 75. I was going to put my goal at 100 this year, but this is my first year that I've really been reading religiously, so I only set myself a goal for 75. I think I'm doing pretty well so far. We'll see how long it takes for me to read that 75. Hopefully I'll read a little bit more than that. But yeah, I am really excited to start the next half of the year and see what else I have in store, what other books I have. Maybe by the time I do my end of year wrap up, I might have more books that are my favorite, some that might top the books that I've already read. Who knows? But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a lovely day and happy reading. Bye.